Welcome back to the second part of our rim thickness deviation test for the 22. And what we're going to do real quickly is we're going to shoot at some targets. As I mentioned in the previous video, I've sorted two separate batches of 5 for each of the different ammos that we looked at earlier. One of those batches is going to have no deviation. The next is going to have maximum deviation. I'm going to run 5 rounds. First with no deviation, then run another 5 with max deviation. Once we're done with this, we'll go in, measure, analyze the data, and see if sorting by rim thickness or the fact of even having a deviation in rim thickness, seeing what kind of a difference it makes as far as accuracy and groups. Alright folks, I screwed up on that first set of shots that I did. I got my batches mixed up. From here out, I'm going to shoot the same exact way. I'm going to keep the order in which I shoot them consistent. That way I don't get my data mixed up. Just wanted you guys to know. I did label these targets previously. Don't pay any attention to them. They don't mean nothing now. I accidentally shot the max deviation at the left-hand target. Okay? And I'm going to keep shooting that way. So it'll be just directly opposite. Max deviation will be on the left, no deviation will be on the right. It was that way on that first target, and it'll be that way from here on out while that we're testing. Okay, we're back in the shop and we're going to go through these targets real quick and see what kind of data we can get out of them. I'm going to work these targets from what showed to have the most rim thickness deviation to the best. That's the order I'm going to work in. Remember that these labels mean nothing. They're actually flipped because I shot at the wrong one. So the left side will be max deviation, right side will be no deviation. This is the Remington Thunderbolt, and on the Remington Thunderbolt it was 8 thousandths deviation. Max deviation, we had a group of 0.766. No deviation, a group of 0.477. That group actually tightened by sorting our ammunition by rim thickness. It tightened by 0.289. The next one is the Remington Golden Bullet. Also had 8 thousandths deviation when we measured the rim. This one, the sorting seemed to help more. 0.429 was our group with max deviation. 0.219 was our group with no deviation, and that is a tighter group by 0.210. Our final Remington that we were playing with today was the Remington Yellowjacket. It come in at 7 thousandths deviation. Max deviation, we got a group of 0.777. No deviation, we got a group of 0.597, which still is a better group, not by much but a little bit. It's better by 0.180. And we get into the Cci Standard here, which come in at 4 thousandths deviation. Not a lot of change in this, but it shot real well regardless. 0.207 our group at max deviation. 0.190 our group with no deviation. That tightened it up by 0.017. Move to the Federal American Eagle. Also had 4 thousandths deviation with this when we measured. 0.457 is our group at max deviation. 0.364 our group with no deviation. Again, a little bit of improvement, not a lot. 0.093 is the difference there. Getting into the 3 thousandths deviation measurement was the Federal Governmental Ultra Match with max deviation at a group of 0.255 with no deviation 0.242. Virtually identical. Of course, if you're shooting precision, the difference is 0.013 there. That certainly could be enough to be the difference between sitting on a line and cutting a line. Yes, in a match situation, that could help you. Federal Champion comes in next, also at 3 thousandths deviation that we measured. This stuff with no deviation, group was 1.327 with max deviation, I should say, with no deviation 0.885. Sorting that actually made a difference of 0.442. The group was so large here that there was a lot to work with, and so I think that's why we got such a difference from sorting that. Next one here, we move into the 2 thousandths. This was one of the better performers when we measured. Is the Federal Auto Match. 2 thousandths deviation in thickness is what we measured. The max deviation come out to 0.910, whereas the no deviation come out to 0.485. That is a difference of 0.425. So like a couple of the other ones, sorting the ammo cut that group size in half. And the last one we're going to look at here that we had at also 2/1000 deviation was the Cci Mini Mags, and they perform superbly all the way around. Group size with max deviation 0.217. Group size with no deviation at all 0.102. That is a difference of 0.115. So what does this tell us? Well, first of all, this tells us that sorting by the rim thickness certainly gives us a little bit better gripping across the board pretty much regardless. As Mythbusters would say, I think that the checking the rim thickness is probably confirmed at this point. There's a couple of things that's weird, and it sort of makes you wonder. And we'll go over that real quick. For example, this the Yellowjacket was one of them here, for example. Get this one out of the way. This Yellowjacket, when we did the accuracy test, you'll remember that the Yellowjacket stuff, it is high velocity, and it did not perform real well on the accuracy test. It seems to be pretty consistent thinking that the lower the velocity, the more accurate the stuff's going to be. And I think that's what we're running into here. We didn't, sorting it by rim thickness didn't make a lot of difference. And I think one of it is because, one issue could be because of the higher velocity. The other thing that you've got to look into, and that was like this Federal Auto Match. If I can find it here. Here it is. This one back. Federal Auto Match, for example, we had had fairly large groups here, and I'm thinking that on this we've got, I mean, we bettered the group without a doubt, but with 2/1000 deviation, you're thinking, good Lord, that's a 0.910 group, and the only, we cut it in half. Sure, we got it to 0.485 by sorting, but 0.485, while this is not a horrible group, it's nothing like some of the other ones that you just looked at. And what I'm thinking is, obviously we all know that different ammos perform differently in different firearms. So the second thing is, you've got other variations, being the powder charge in there, possibly the crimp on the projectile itself. Several different factors can come into play with that accuracy. And what I think is going on, we've still confirmed that it helps, but what I would suggest, if you're gonna run out and start trying to do this for your matches, first you need to go through kind of the steps we went through. Go through the accuracy test first, just inherent accuracy out of the box. Grab a handful of rounds, run some groups, and see what happens. After you do that, then start sorting by weight and checking and see what happens. And then from there, deviate into possibly getting one of these rim thickness gauges, which in our case is this Raven Eye Custom rim thickness gauge, and sort it from there. There's no doubt at this point, it's pretty obvious that that sorting it helps. I hope that you find this data beneficial. I hope you can take it and run with it, and hopefully you will start shooting some tighter groups as well.